Now I'd like to invite on stage Grant's colleague, Mr. Venkat Raghavan. He's Senior Vice President, Corporate Development at Bluecoat, and he's going to explain a bit more about doing extraordinary things with ordinary items. Venkat joined Bluecoat from IBM, where he held a variety of roles, and most recently he served as Director of Engineering and Development for IBM Security Solutions, where he was responsible for worldwide engineering and development of technology strategy for IBM security products. Venkat holds an MBA in Marketing from the George Washington University School of Business and an MS in Computer Science from Clemson University. And he has a BS in Electronics and Electrical Engineering from PSG College of Technology. So please welcome on stage Mr. Venkat Raghavan, Senior VP Corporate Development at Bluecoat.
Thanks, Grant. All right, good evening. Again, congratulations to all the winners here. It's been fantastic and great to be here as well on stage. I promise I won't do any wine jokes in the next session. Grant, thank you very much for the fantastic introduction. Really appreciate your enthusiasm and passion for the business. And as CIOs, obviously, the next generation of CIOs, you have tremendous obligations to take it to the next level here. And cybersecurity is a huge, huge topic. So with the responsibility of you being in the room comes obligations. And so I'm here to kind of talk to you about, as a practitioner of security, what are the issues. And the video actually highlighted a lot of the obstacles that we were likely to see in this new regime of cybersecurity. So I want to give you a small perspective from a practitioner as to what things are, what are things happening in India in particular, and how CIOs you can contemplate the next generation of strategies to deal with this problem. Okay? That's the agenda for the day. I want to start off with a safe harbor clause, as usual, just to make sure you're all pretty excited and you keep active in the session. So for the next 100 audience here, I want to talk about three topics. The first is the technology and cybersecurity implications. Over the past year, I've traveled throughout India, meeting many, many customers, maybe about 100 or so large companies, CIOs, and CISOs in particular. And so I've gotten a good understanding of what's going on in the marketplace here. I'll share with you some of my perspectives as well in this market. The second thing is the security architecture. We live in a new world. Therefore, Band-Aids is not an option. So I'll talk about what the implications are for the security architecture and how you should think about this going forward. If there's one thing I want you to walk away today, it is that the fact that this is a new security architecture and the dawn of a new security paradigm that we need to think about. And lastly, what is our approach and our response to this problem? If you look at the global trends impacting the next generation of the architecture, we'll talk about a few things. Obviously, we look at this as a different ball game. And the first thing is advanced threats. And in 2009 and before, there was a world where APTs did not exist. Post-2009, we now live in the world of APTs. This is not a technology issue. This is a business issue. That's the first thing we need to understand. Second thing is we're going to see hyper levels of connectivity. I see about 80% of the audience are already using laptops and tablets, and this is just going to grow and explode. On average, we all have about 6, 7 devices at home, even more. So that trend is going to continue to drive high levels of interconnectivity. Gartner estimates by 2020 there will be 26 billion devices on the internet. Imagine all the sensors and all the data that's going to produce. Big data, hypergrowth. Already today in many large customer environments, we are seeing more than between 200 gigabytes to 1 terabyte of log data per day coming up. That includes important security information. How do you process this and how do you actually action upon this in your environment? Cloud and mobility and the proliferation of shadow IT. Users will do what they want to accomplish. They're highly empowered. They will use the best technology to get their jobs done with or without our IT's help. That's a given. That's happening throughout the world, including India. So how do we respond to that situation? Bluecoat commissioned a research study and survey amongst our top 1580 customers worldwide, including about 200 participants from India marketplace. And we asked the question, do the technology initiatives increase risk? And it was a resounding yes from the customers here in India. Additionally, if you stack rank the top technology initiatives for driving the business goals, security is at the top. So already CIOs and CISOs recognize that technology is the next growth for business. They've already prioritized security at the top of the agenda along with big data, analytics, as well as mobility, for example. So that thing is clear. There's a recognition that the next phase of growth in your own company is going to come through technology innovation. And to support that, we need security investments, big data analytics, and the mobility trends as well. Within the boardroom, security is not top of the business agenda. 2, 3, 4 years ago, this was not the case. But this is now an elevated agenda. CEOs now require daily dashboards of what's going on across the cyber infrastructure. They're pressing CIOs for that information now, and CISOs for information now. So what is driving this elevated status of security? 3 causal reasons. Business initiatives. CEOs want to go fast. Technology, cloud, mobility, driving huge mega trends. High-profile data breaches. Every day, they get something going on with the big banks, whatever it is, governments, commercial enterprises, and whatnot. So this is top of mind for many CEOs and C-level executives. Lastly, many customers already have security issues. They have security problems. So that's a given. So we live in an arena of a post-breach world, and that's an important point to think about, is that these are all important issues. And India consistently ranks above the global average. So the fact that this won't impact me, that is a difficult argument to make anymore. This is real, it's happening now, it's happening in many parts of the world, particularly in the Indian marketplace. So what does this advanced threat really mean, and how does it really manifest? And Grant talked about this one-day wonders. So Bluecoat has got some very unique research around this. We took a look at all the 660 million host names on the internet. The .coms, the .ins, the .brazils, every country imaginable in the world. 71% of these internet hosts are short-lived. They only live for 24 hours or less. They are active, they registered domains, they come online, they weaponize to a target, and they're gone. Within that 470 million websites, what we call as global one-day wonders, 22% are malicious, and they propagate targeted attacks. Within India, we know 1.93% are India one-day wonder sites, .in domains. So this problem is happening in India as well. This approximates to about 2 million sites per day of weaponized malware that is targeting end users, systems, applications, and data. Think about this for a second. What are these characteristics of these one-day wonders? They are hyper-targeted. That means they are targeted at a very particular user, an application, or a vulnerability, or a data set. It is not mass market malware. Attacks are typically hidden using encryption. This is now a new common technique, using encryption to hide all the tracks. The delivery infrastructure is professionalized and fluid, and that means this is custom designer malware targeting end users and applications very specifically. Short-lived, 24 hours or less, they come online, propagate, weaponize, target the users, and they go away. So that is the nature of the problem we live in right now. It's an important problem to understand and deal with this. All right. So what's going on with the clicker here? May I advance to the next slide? Here we go. Okay. If you look at the situation now, where we have this one-day wonders, highly weaponized sites coming in and going quickly, where are the customers today in terms of their challenges? The current state is actually it's a pretty sad story. Customers have underinvested in security for a number of years. Recall all the Sarbanes-Oxley, all the compliance issues and whatnot. Therefore, security was never taken seriously. Therefore, we have gaps in tools and security efficacy. We have gaps in knowledge and intelligence. We have gaps in recovery and response techniques. And we have gaps in operational risk. At the same time, you have these mega trends coming up: cloud, applications, mobility, social. These are driving huge aspirations for the business. They are going fast. So at the end of the day, CIOs and CISOs have to figure out what is this gap? How do I reconcile this gap? So we have a huge visibility gap in today's infrastructure being highly porous and the aspirations of the business to grow fast using new technology. We have to go from art to operation discipline in managing cyber risks. Therefore, we cannot put any more Band-Aids. This is not a product issue. This is not a technology issue. This is a strategic issue in terms of how customers need to think about this. We have to go from overall discovery to resolution. The entire step of how do we operationalize this infrastructure for the new environment has to change dramatically. And that's an important point to make here. So what is Bluecoat doing about this? The first thing is we're actually fortifying capabilities and advanced tools as well as intelligence, improving detection effectiveness. What we can find out and what we can block, we should do automatically. Second thing is we're improving visibility. One good example I talk about is SSL. 30% of all internet traffic is now SSL. All the consumer web mailers are already going on SSL and HTTPS. So 30% of all traffic today coming into the enterprise is blind to traditional security tools, like IDS, IPS, next-gen firewalls, and whatnot. Therefore, you already are crippled in terms of effective response to attacks over SSL. Third thing is behavior and anomaly detection. We're now in a world where we cannot block and detect our way out of the problem. We have to figure out what are the variances. What is the baseline? What is happening for users? And then figure out the deviations and then apply heuristics and behavior-based techniques to solve this problem. Second, action and response. We live in a post-breach world. Attacks will get through. You already have malware within your networks today. You just do not know anything about those attacks. So how do we determine this? We need to do data gathering and triage. We enable you to quickly identify the root cause analysis and then prioritize the right critical threats and deliver actionable intelligence. We focus on that problem as well. Third is knowledge and process. Be able to completely have a lifecycle approach to fortifying our security operations. And lastly, operational risk. How do we map the next generation of security architecture and processes to your operation model, leveraging best-in-class industry frameworks? These are the specific activities Bluecoat is doing. And this is not, again, a product or a technology. It's a complete approach to looking at technology, your visibility, your action, your processes, and your risk management that encounter this particular problem. It all starts with intelligence. Without intelligence, we cannot do much. Bluecoat has got a tremendous set of researchers who operate this global intelligence network. What is the GIN? It is an artifact, it is a real-time set of capabilities that are in the cloud that is based on real-time input from users. On any given day, we have 75 million users submitting real URLs to us. They comprise on average about 1 billion URLs. We're able to take all the data coming from real users, analyze it, and then build out a weather map of the internet. We've done this for the past 15 years. If you go to New York City and walk around, there are some bad neighborhoods. You know this. Broken glass, garbage on the street, graffiti. You know to avoid these areas. We know exactly what the bad neighborhoods on the internet is. We've built this for a number of years. Within that system of global intelligence network, we have capabilities around URL filtering, malware detection, whitelisting, sandboxing, all these capabilities. So we give you this intelligence, and automatically any Bluecoat device or an appliance automatically gets this intelligence in real time. So for the very first time, we have a user going to a bad URL and they get infected. We know exactly right away, get a fix for it, and the second and the third user gets the fix automatically, instantaneously. We call this a network effect. We do it really well. The second thing is, we actually help you understand what this weather map looks like. We're looking at every detail, look at URLs. What are the risk characteristics? Everything starts with a URL. This URL is an address. It is also a payload. It delivers payloads to your end users. So understanding these payloads, where they come from, where they're originating, the integrity, confidentiality of this payload, and be able to understand and process this in your own operational environment is huge for us. So we're doing a lot of work and research around these capabilities. The third piece is visibility. Today, a lot of focus is happening around what is happening in my environment. A lot of CIOs and CISOs don't have the visibility. They have tools and technologies, but no visibility. There's no cohesive visibility. One example is SSL. As an example. In India, for example, in a global average, 26% of all traffic is SSL. And Gartner says by 2017, almost 50% is going to be SSL-based, 2016. In India, 26% of all traffic is SSL through our research. But today, your traditional security tools are not doing the job. They cannot inspect SSL traffic. Therefore, it's very difficult for you to operationalize a risk management or a threat analysis capability without this visibility. So our focus is to make sure we actually provide the visibility into all the traditional tools. Your DLPs, your firewalls, your next-gen gateways, all these technologies can leverage now the intelligence of looking into SSL for the advanced threats and where they're hiding. Another important artifact we're doing is the cloud. You look at the environment right now, where we have all the users, all you have to have is a laptop or a device, an internet connection, you're off to the internet, you're using all the greatest applications. You can bypass IT completely. So this shadow IT is a tremendous issue. So customers have built up a lot of the tools and techniques for the past several years, and these tools are totally invisible to all the shadow IT behaviors. People are going to Dropbox, putting files there, they're going to access Microsoft, Office 365, so they're authorized use of cloud applications and also unauthorized cloud applications. People are downloading any application. Anything cool, anything viral, they click, they download, they use it. They're on the corporate network. So you cannot avoid this problem. The question is, how do we then balance the ability for us to understand what users are doing? So in Bluecoat Cloud, we built a complete cloud infrastructure where all the devices and all the activities go through our cloud. It gets cleaned up on the way out and cleaned up on the way in. So when you go to a URL, you go through our Bluecoat Cloud. We inspect, we determine whether it's a good side or bad side using the neighborhood profile we have, apply all the security policies, and make sure the user is safe, and your applications and your data is also safe. So this aspect of cloud governance is an important design point for the next several years. Without a layer of governance around these cloud applications, you're totally invisible to all the risks, and this highly empowered user community is a huge challenge. So this is an area where Bluecoat is focusing immensely on. We have cloud today in India, in both Mumbai and Chennai, so it's a huge focus for us to make sure we can provide the governance capabilities. Another area we focused on is action and response, what we call as continuous monitoring. Grant talked about this before. There's no more, we cannot just block your way out of the problem. Detection tools are can only go so far. We need to figure out what is going on in the existing environment. Most organizations are already breached. There's already malware within the enterprises. So it's not the fact that you can just block these new things coming in. So which means we need a complete recording of all the activities going on within the enterprise. So you can go back in history and figure out whether you already have malware. Where is it? Who brought this in? Who are the impacted users? Impacted endpoints? Can I clean this up? And can I make sure it doesn't happen again? All these questions require continuous monitoring. And you cannot predict the future if you do not look back in the past. So we have continuous monitoring capabilities through our analytics platform that allows you to capture all the data and understand and create baselines for your users and what they're doing, and be able to predict their behaviors in the future. Detection is important, but it's not good enough in this post-breach world. So it's an important aspect of action and response. The current state is quite simple. As the next generation of CIOs, this is the problem statement. Despite spending millions of dollars on technology and countless hours on defense, large enterprises continue to be hacked and infected at an unprecedented pace with clear operational risk. Clearly, conventional approaches to security aren't getting the job done. This is a factual statement. You look at the press, you look at all the what's going on. All these are great companies. They have great people, great technology, great products. Why is this happening? That is a challenge we have to look at. A different approach is required. We submit that this is an architectural issue. We submit based on our analysis of our customer environments that because of the whole underinvestment in security for a number of years, Customers have to rethink their security posture, rethink the security architecture. They cannot respond to this threat and this bigger notion of cloud mobility social with a product approach or a technology approach. Let me just go buy a sandbox. It will fix the problem. It will not fix the problem. You need to take a very proactive rethinking on the next generation of security operations. We call this industrialization. The concept is simple. Without industrialization of security operations, you'll always be behind the 8 ball in terms of reacting to this problem. What does it mean for us when we talk about industrialization? It means we have to drive intelligence, first and foremost. We have to have time on our hands. The things you don't have is time. When a breach happens, it takes minutes or seconds, as the Verizon report showed us. But the time for you to discover these breaches takes months, sometimes even years. Time is not a friend in these cases. Lastly, analytics. There's so much of data now. I mentioned about we're already looking at a terabyte of data just from log files, from your security applications and all this. So which means the only way we can solve the problem is predictive analytics, looking at the future. So our approach is to make sure we have a complete lifecycle approach. Monitor, monitor, monitor. Get complete visibility in all your operations. And then you can determine what you want to do next. What is coming in, what is going out, have a baseline. Secure your operations completely so that your products are working properly. Get all the visibility, SSL, all the ports, all traffic. Have intelligence and analytics to determine what's going on, what's coming up next. Create baselines. And then you can start to industrialize your security operations. Across people, process, and technology, this has to be a complete response to the environment. Security is about what makes it possible. And so I would submit that at the end of the day, this is a new generation of problems, new generation of opportunities. So drive it, take a new security approach with the security architecture in mind, and then I think at the end of the day, those investments are going to pay off in the medium to long run. Thank you very much.